Protect your car with 3W Liners all-weather floor mats. Made from durable materials like TPE and rubber, our mats are designed to withstand rain, snow, and mud with deep grooves to trap dirt and liquids. For a custom fit and advanced protection, visit 3W Liners. That's the number 3, WLINERS.com today. Cases, innovation drives us. Since 2008, we've been creating cutting-edge technology products that make your life easier. With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. From gourmet snacks to unique finds, each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.
Hey there, welcome into a new day of the Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air, as he does 5 days a week. We're coming to you live on YouTube, just as we are every weekday at high noon Eastern time. And then wherever you get your podcasts, we're talking about Boston sports because it's my special interest. And I can't really talk about anything else. Go ask my girlfriend's family. Trust me on that one. Today, we're talking about the Celtics shakeup. Jayson Tatum's injury. Is that going to leave them prone to an upset, vulnerable to an upset in round one against the Orlando Magic? And how far can they go if they don't have him? Plus, it was an absolute dumpster fire of an end-of-season press conference for the Boston Bruins. You thought them playing those 82 games was embarrassing? You're going to see a whole new level of embarrassing with this organization, with Don Sweeney and Cam Neely and Charlie Jacobs and the rest. Boy, was that bad. Plus, in the third segment, I want to talk about how the NHL had such a chance to grasp that momentum. It looks like they certainly were in February against the NBA, and how that has fizzled out in just 2 short months. All that and more coming up on this episode of The Cam Show. By the way, before we get into the Celtics here, I talked about yesterday the intrigue that comes with the draft and the storylines that come out. Like, guys, we've already started with it. We have already started with this. An NFL assistant coach on Shadur Sanders, quote, "The worst formal interview I've been in my life. He's so entitled. He takes unnecessary sacks. He never plays on time. He has horrible body language. He blames teammates. But the biggest thing is he's not that good." Oof. Doesn't look good for Cleveland or the New York Giants potentially saying, yeah, you know what? We'll do the quarterback thing. Patriots, you could have Travis Hunter. Doesn't necessarily look good for that. It also doesn't look good for the Boston Celtics right now, or at least doesn't look great. Jayson Tatum, doubtful for game 2 against Orlando. And it comes with a weird scene in game 1. He gets fouled. He goes down to the floor hard on that wrist. He's writhing in pain. And we see afterwards, Joe Mazzulla, I didn't catch this until after the game. I don't know if it was like really part of the broadcast and highlighted. But Joe Mazzulla on the sideline is holding the trainer back, saying, no, stay here, and yelling at his star player, his 3-time first-team All-NBA star player, saying, get up, you wuss. He didn't say that last part, but that was implied. It was certainly implied. And it was kind of weird. I mean, not totally out of character for Joe Mazzulla, and those of us who watch the Celtics all the time, there's definitely a tough guy, macho kind of thing, right? But it was odd. I don't think dramatic, but odd. And then it comes out that he has the x-rays. They come back clean. It's just a bone bruise, and now he's doubtful for game 2. By the way, when he went to get the x-rays, his mom, Jayson Tatum's mom, was saying, you need me to go to the Orlando locker room? Like, slow your roll here. All right, calm down. What are you going to do? Going to go beat up Kentavious Caldwell-Pope? Like, what is that? I thought that was stupid. Anyway, Jayson Tatum, his best ability has been availability, of course. Other than being one of the top 5 or 6 players in the entire NBA, he never misses a game. Like, you have to pry him out of the starting lineup and put him on the bench and hide his uniform for him to miss a basketball game, even if it's a Monday night in Charlotte on NBA TV. Doesn't like to do it. In fact, the last time the Celtics played a playoff game without Jayson Tatum in the lineup was game 5 of the 2017 Eastern Conference Finals. Those of you who know ball will remember Jayson Tatum was not on the team. He wasn't drafted until the next month. He didn't even know he was going to be a Boston Celtic the last time the Boston Celtics played a playoff game without him in the starting lineup. Well, that could well be the case in game 2. And honestly, that could be, I know this is a hot take, could be a huge loss for the Celtics if he's not playing. I said the other day, Drew Holiday's the most important player. He's the glue guy, but Jayson Tatum is the star. And you could win 2 playoff rounds, 2.5 without Kristaps Porzingis. You know, I think you could probably do the same if you didn't have, Al Horford. Or maybe Derrick White, maybe even Jaylen Brown, but not Jayson Tatum. This is a cause for concern. for the Celtics and their fans. And I know it's just plucky Orlando, but that takes a hit out of you guys when you don't have your star, your leader in Jayson Tatum. And I think the other thing that's bugging me and maybe will have me feel more concerned if Tatum's not playing in this game too, is the reaction from his teammates. Now, hear me out here. I always want teammates sticking up for each other. And Al Horford did that and Jrue Holiday did that after the KCP foul, which does become a flagrant one. But the greater point here is I don't think it was a dirty play. Like, Orlando's trying to play physical with him in general. Of course they are. He's the other team's best player. But that in and of itself, that was not a dirty play. I don't even think it should have been a flagrant. That's NBA playoff basketball. That's a hard playoff foul against a guy who's about to dunk. You know, I don't think this is a bad play by Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I think the Celtics are mad at him for, I guess, this being kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. I think they're mad at him for other things and the way he's kind of played the last couple of years. But that in and of itself, we're getting in a tizzy over. We're going to start a little rivalry because of that. Like, to me, that's nothing. And these guys, Jayson Tatum, Al Horford, Jrue Holiday, who have played in to get combined hundreds of playoff games, I just thought would have known that by now. And so why I get a little bit concerned about that is because now they think that they've been slighted. Now they think that it's them against the world because of that foul. They think the other team's out to get them. And that can lead to an emotional response. So let's play this out that you don't have your best player or he's very hindered with another wrist injury, and you guys are pressing because you think you've had this, personal affront against you. That's not a great combo. I hope the Celtics make it constructive and say, you know what? Screw these pricks, man. We're going to take it to them tonight, and we're going to push them to the ledge at 2-0. I hope that would be the case, and I hope it leads to a sweep. But not having Jayson Tatum, to me, is not a good thing, which doesn't sound like a hot take. But when you look at the stats, it might even say otherwise. Because, as StatMuse put out last night, the Boston Celtics, without Jayson Tatum, are at 8-2 this season. Both those losses, though, were to the Orlando Magic. So typically, they're pretty good without him. Two of them, they lost to the Magic. Now, definitely one of them, and I think both of them, they were down pretty much their whole lineup. You remember that one they played the night after the Knicks game a week or two ago? And they didn't dress anybody, right? It was no Tatum, Brown, Horford, Holiday, White. Like, it was Baylor Shireman and Jordan Walsh, and they scored 76 points. So that's not just playing without Tatum. That's playing without everybody. Everybody. But it is worth noting again that he has played in all 114 playoff games the Celtics have played since he was drafted. And I don't know. Tatum said he felt fine. He said it hurt at first. I want to get the exact terminology he said there. He said fell on it, landed on it. It was throbbing for a second. Then it kind of went away. X-ray came back clean, as in no fractures, but a bone bruise in there. He's been dealing with wrist injuries the last couple of years. There's always been something with a wrist or the wrist. It has hindered his three-point shooting. He was on track to become a very good three-point shooter in this league, and he's not that. So maybe that's the sign we need that they'll be able to push through it. But the fact that Tatum never sits, he never misses games. I know to Nick Young that means he's the softest Celtics superstar of all time. He plays 75 to 80 games every year, but he's soft as hell. But this becomes very intriguing because, as I mentioned on the show yesterday, and if you haven't seen that, check it out on the channel. Orlando, in a good way, bunch of pricks. Young kids, they don't know that they're supposed to be swept in this series. They come out really aggressive. They get after it on the defensive end. If you take out Jayson Tatum from the Celtics and you give Jaylen Brown another shooting night like he's had most of the season, to be quite fair, but specifically in the last couple of weeks when he hasn't looked 100%, then you might need another Derrick White 30-piece, which he's capable of, but you're not banking on that every night. You're going to need that, and you're going to need Jrue Holiday to make all the little plays, which, again, he's capable of, but every night, oof, it's a lot to ask out of your backcourt when you've got two All-NBA guys. One of them who might not play and won't be 100%, and the other who hasn't been 100% all year. All of a sudden, it just gets a little trickier. I don't think the Celtics lose this series, even without Jayson Tatum. But it becomes all the more tricky. And if Orlando wins this game too, they are going to have a cauldron at home in game 3 for what's not a great sports town by any means. And then you're kind of going to the Lions Den a little bit. Then it's anybody's game. And then they'll be the young kids with all the energy that are D'ing you up. And you know, those kids at home, they are much more likely to hit the open corner threes for a team with no offensive talent. Then all of a sudden you got something. Then all of a sudden you got a series on your hands because of this hard foul, not a dirty foul, but a hard foul by Kentavious Caldwell-Pope that sends Jayson Tatum down in a heap in game 1. This will be fascinating to watch. Do the Celtics have the balls to hold them out a game, a playoff game, that they're playing at home and saying, you know what? If everyone on Twitter's right, and Jayson Tatum has a super team around him, then we'll be okay. And God forbid they win this series without Tatum. Oh, my God. NBA media and social media will lose their friggin' minds talking about this super team. But I'm interested to see if they have the balls to hold them out. Precautionary, even though it's the playoffs. I don't think precautionary really exists, but we'll see. We'll see. They did it without Porzingis last year. Can they possibly do it without Tatum? To me, that might be a bridge too far. Could this mean an upset is on the cards? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you're checking out the other videos on the channel and ringing that notification bell to get notified every time we're going live, high noon Eastern time, every weekday, and then available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air. Check out the other videos on the channel, and be sure to join us every weekday on The Cam Show. Hold on. We roll on. Bucks lose again, by the way. I just wanted to point that out. I was shitting on the Bucks big time the other day. I will continue to shit on the Bucks big time. They have not won a playoff game since that Jrue steal, or Giannis has not won a playoff game since that Jrue steal to end game 5 in 2022 in Boston. Like, the guy who sealed that game for them is now playing for one of your conference rivals and has won a championship for one of your conference rivals. That has got to sting for the Bucks. Like, genuinely, they have this generational guy in the Greek Freak, one of my favorite players of this era still, even with all the calls that he got in that series, and the way he treated Al Horford. I still love him. He's a heck of a player. And he puts up, you know, this great performance, whatever, the 50 in game 6 in the finals, and just like he's a freak, right? That's the nickname, and that is the way that he fits into the NBA. He's an absolute unicorn. And you're going to get one finals appearance out of that. Unless you do something drastic in the next couple of years and he's past his prime, but he's still holding on. Like, you're going to get one finals appearance out of that. You can only blame yourself, man. Like, that 22 team, by the way, if that 22 team is healthy and Middleton is there, they might well beat the Celtics, right? They gave the Celtics all they could handle, and they didn't have Middleton in the whole series. And now they're trading him for Kyle Kuzma. They're trading Jrue Holiday away for Dame Lillard. Lillard can't play, and even when he does, he's one of the worst defenders in the league. It's just, what a mess. What a mess they have put themselves in, man. And they're not the Lakers. They can't just pull off some bullshit trade that nobody else sees coming the way the Lakers do once a generation. You know, they can't have a guy who just holds out of his contract because he only wants to play for the Bucks the way that the Lakers have. So it's not as easy for that team to bounce back. Who knows? We could be seeing the same thing with the Knicks here. If the Knicks don't get to a finals in the next, I don't know, 1 to 2 years, and they've mortgaged their entire future. These teams, they make radical decisions to try to keep up with the Celtics. It doesn't work. Doesn't work. Milwaukee did it, and it hasn't worked. It has not worked. It's done. Philly tried it. Paul George, James Harden, didn't work. It did not work. The Knicks are trying it now. The jury's still out. But even as a 3 seed, that felt like a disappointing regular season with how far they were behind the Celtics and the Cavs. So all these teams trying to keep up with the Celtics, it's not working. Not working yet. Meanwhile, the ironic part, the coincidental or ironic, I guess, is that Cleveland didn't really do that. Like the Cleveland thing, I guess Donovan Mitchell came in to compete with the Celtics, but really they just needed a star player. Like the Knicks had a star player and they went out to get a couple other ones. The 76ers, same thing. They had an MVP. They went out to get a few others. The Bucks, the same thing. They said, we need to get nuclear to beat the Celtics. The Cavs didn't. The Cavs built a team around a guy they got in a big trade, Donovan Mitchell, but they built a team, and they're the only ones in the Eastern Conference that can compete with the Celtics, which is kind of the funny part of this. And don't even get me started on Miami. I mean, they crapped out. They absolutely crapped out at the table. Anyway, I don't know why I went on that rant. I just think it's funny at this point to laugh at the Bucks because they really thought they had something getting Dame Lillard. Honestly, I wish it happened to the Heat. That would have been even funnier. But they've got their own misery when Jimmy Butler forces his way out. It's all good in Celtic land right now outside of Jayson Tatum's wrist. Coming up next, it's not all good in Bruins land. In fact, even after that awful season they just had, this Wednesday might have been the most embarrassing day of the year for your Boston Bruins. Let's cover that next on the Cam Show.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
Did you know nearly all stock price changes of 10% or more result from a single news headline? These news catalysts create trading opportunities every day. All you need is a little help to reach out and take them. It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
BosleyMD.com.
I've always had thin hair my whole life. It breaks off at a certain length. In the last 6 months, I've noticed it just really bad. I mean, you could totally see it. I wear a hat a lot. I tried several different products. My experience with the Bosley MD hair regrowth kit was amazing. It was easy to use. It let me take off my hat. I could go in public and have my picture taken and feel normal again.
Harrowing story there from Bosley. This is the Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. I might need some Bosley, man. Look at this. Look at this hairline. I won't even show you the top, the solar panel that powers the sex machine. I won't even show you that. Put Costanza to shame. Anyway, speaking of shame, the Boston Bruins, man, if it wasn't bad enough during the season, they're going to make it worse for you on the way out the door. A week after their season ends, the Bruins have their kind of end of season press conference. GM Don Sweeney, President Cam Neely, owner Charlie Jacobs. And it was a disaster. A disaster. A masterclass in how to not handle this situation. And I guess, to be fair, it's been a while since they've had to deal with this bad a team and this bad an exit press conference, but this was no excuse for what we saw today. The only positive that comes out of it is the fact that the brass is saying they are looking for a new coach, one with some offensive innovation. That's what we all want to hear, guys. That's what we all want to hear. Of course, you have not fired your interim coach right now. So he's sitting at home with his thumb up his ass saying, oh, okay, I guess I'm fired. I guess I'll clean out my office now after being here for 11 years. Like, I know interims aren't meant to stay, but that's how this team handles it. Everything else in this press conference was even worse. Okay, starting with this absolute bullshit line and this minute of bullshit by Charlie Jacobs. Oh, this was a bad season. It's unacceptable. But also, we're going to run it back.
And speaking of Cam and Don, I'm proud to sit alongside these two gentlemen because I know we've got the right people in the right seats on the bus to bring this franchise back to glory. Now, let me be clear. The results from last season are absolutely unacceptable, and accountability has never been higher. However, I need to tell you that when deciding what is best for the long-term success of this franchise, we have to be pragmatic and use data-driven decisions. Now, Cam and Don, in their respective roles as president and general manager, have proven that they can take a franchise that has missed the playoffs and build one for sustained success. It is my opinion that we can do it again, and this time get over the hump and become a Stanley Cup champion.
What a load, man. Are you kidding? The accountability has never been higher. But we're not going to fire anybody but the coach. It's the coach's fault again. It's not the guys beside me, because Cam Neely can kick my ass and Don Sweeney is mean. Like, accountability's never been higher, but we're keeping everyone in place. Like, what a joke, man. What, are you kidding me? By the way, Charlie Jacobs has the best line of the presser, I think, a little bit later on in that answer, because he talks about Don's resume, and he says, you know, there's a reason why we are tied for the highest win percentage in the NHL in Don Sweeney's tenure here, which is now the Boston Bruins version of Dan Duquette saying most days in first place. Remember that? Remember that when Dan Duquette got canned at the end of 2002 and he said the season was a success when they missed the playoffs because they spent the most days in first place? That's essentially what Charlie Jacobs just gave to you 20 years later about this Bruins team. Finished in the basement of the Eastern Conference this year, but in the last 9 years, they're tied for the highest win percentage in the league. They made one conference final in that time, but damned if they don't win in the regular season. You know, Tampa's made like 4 conference finals and 3 Stanley Cup finals in that span. You know, Washington's won a cup. Florida's been to 2 cup finals and won a cup. These teams that you're competing with. But 2 President's trophies, baby. They make a banner for that. It's such a joke, man, what we're going through with this. And it shouldn't shock anybody. I mean, around the league, people might be surprised, but with what we know with the Bruins, it shouldn't be a surprise that he's just going to run it back. He's just going to roll with the same guys. Because Don Sweeney, he's rebuilt a team before. Remember when they missed the playoffs 9 years ago? He rebuilt the team. The core was still there. He rebuilt a team with Zdeno Chara, Patrice Bergeron, David Krejci, Tuukka Rask, and David Pastrnak. Every single one of those guys was drafted or signed or brought to the team some way or another by somebody else. None of those are Don Sweeney guys, not even Pastrnak. That was a Chiarelli draft pick. So yeah, he's rebuilt a team before by signing an aging core that was brought in by different guys. And so, yeah, let's just roll it back with him. He's made one good draft pick in 10 years. Let's just keep rolling with that guy. Because if nothing else, at least he has the folksiness that we want running this team. And that at the end of a bad season where they bottomed out, they were one of the worst teams in the league in basically every statistical category, and they'll probably be picking in the top 5 in the NHL draft this year. After a season like that, you know Don Sweeney's going to attack this with some humility. He is going to take accountability, and he is going to admit his mistakes and move forward.
And I am curious if there's been any questioning of you based on dismissing 3 coaches in your tenure, any pushback about getting enough time to do the job?
From the coaches themselves?
Yeah.
Well, I'll call you up and let you know, Chair, if somebody turns it down the invitation to interview for one of the most historic jobs in the National Hockey League. I understand.
Have that conversation.
I've gone through one coaching search.
Wow. Can you believe that? Can you believe that he snapped back like an asshole? Can you believe that this whole press conference, they're talking about accountability after a dog shit season, and that after every question, they're going to get defensive with you? The reporters, the media, the fans of this team, they're going to snap back at you. Where do these guys get off? Seriously. Do they understand this town at all? Total brain dead, zero accountability in that room, man. Zero. And still, somehow, I'm seeing Bruins fans defending Don Sweeney. There's not a lot, but there are some Bruins fans vehemently defending Don Sweeney on social media. One of which being an account I like, by the way, which is Michael Sullivan. He does a Bruins podcast. I usually think his takes are spot on, but not today, man. Because this is an echo or sentiment that's echoed by a few Bruins fans out there. The 2019 collapse in the finals, that Don Sweeney's fault? Best regular season ever? Don Sweeney's fault? Pasta extension, great AAV, Don Sweeney's fault? Tied for the best point percentage in the league since Don took over? When do you blame the players for not getting the job done? There's a decent point in there. When do you blame the players? I think 2023, I think that was on the players, man. They didn't get it done. 2019 shouldn't have lost in the final. They could have used another scoring winger that Donnie could have got at the trade deadline, but he didn't. But here's what I say about that. How about adding all of those things up? All of those are failures under Don Sweeney's tutelage, under his watchful eye. So when does it not become exceptions and become a trend? That's what I'm wondering. Because, I watch a lot of Bar Rescue with John Taffer. Let's take it to a real-world situation that's not a professional sports team. Okay, let's say you're working at a bar or restaurant, and the whole staff sucks. Okay, anytime the place gets slammed, they suck. The bartenders, the waitresses, the waiters, the hosts, the chefs, none of them can get it right. And they just piss all over themselves. You would say, wow, this is bad staff. But as an owner of the bar, it's on me. I hired these people. I trained these people. Let's get a new staff in here. And then the new staff is even worse. At what point are you the jackass as the bar owner for saying, oh, it's the staff again. It's the staff. Look what I bring in these great people. They're so nice to the customers. They suck at their job, but they're nice to the customers. Whenever do we just keep blaming the staff? No, we keep blaming the bar owner who keeps hiring these people. And of course, the whole team doesn't suck or hasn't in most years. I mean, most of the team this year sucked. But it's just baffling to me that we're going to defend this guy after that. And one of my favorite Bruins players of all time, a guy I still look up to, is Cam Neely. But his hands are not clean in this either. And the thing that bugs me the most, even more than how dog shit the team is that when the media actually asks questions and they try to hold these guys their feet to the fire, this is the kind of crap that we get.
Neither of them have really been up to expectations, in my opinion. So can you just elaborate on that, Kevin?
The drafting?
Yeah.
Well,
where we've picked and who we've picked and how it's turned out.
Seriously, that's the attitude that you're going to have? You guys have drafted one impact player. I mean, two with Swayman. I guess jury's still out on Swayman, but I guess he's impact. Two guys in that span. And he's specifically asking about the 2015 draft, which is one of the biggest cluster Fs in the history of the Bruins. 3 straight draft picks. 2 of them are not NHL players. And the other one is Jake DeBrusk, who was fine, but then he ran a Stanley Cup winning coach out of town. And then you didn't even re-sign him when all you needed this year was secondary scoring. You don't replace him. He goes and has a career year for the Vancouver Canucks with 28 goals. And you're sitting here at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. And then Cam Neely has the balls to snap back at the media for asking a very reasonable question. Kevin Paul DuPont's kind of a douche, but that's a reasonable question there. But no, somebody else's fault. Not our fault. Not our fault. We weren't even picking in the first round most of the time because we traded those picks for Rick Nash and Tyler Bertuzzi and Hampus Lindholm and Andre Kasha to get rid of that albatross David Backes contract that was in the first summer of free agency for, Don Sweeney. It's nobody else's fault. It's everybody else's fault, according to them. But it's really nobody else's fault than this front office. And yet they still don't take any ownership of it. None. And I saw another great tweet out here that is going to really illuminate a lot of this, I'll say. I don't even know if that's the right word. Mike from Woburn, who's an annoying caller into Sports Talk Radio, he says, today's a good time to remind you that Cam Neely was brought in by the Jacobs family to be a franchise figurehead because Charlie was fed up with dealing with the disgruntled fans before they started kind of building this thing back in 2007 or so. Charlie has never been about addressing his and his family's accountability to the state of the Bruins. And he never will because they don't really care. They don't really like hockey. They like getting the money from the playoff gates. And you'd think that missing the playoffs would have forced them to make a move, but it doesn't. They found a way around it. They raised ticket prices. And by the way, Kevin Paul DuPont also asked about that. He said, look, you guys, you're raising ticket prices 4% this year. You announced that before the end of the season. It was such a bad season. Have you thought about rescinding that? Because, you raised it 9% last year. And Charlie Jacobs just fumbles through an answer. You're paying more for your electric bill than you did last year. And we got to pay parking attendants and concession workers. And basically, we got to give them a livable wage, but I can't get out of my bottom dollar here. I can't take my bottom line out of this. It's such bullshit, man. It's the same old crap. You try and go to a Bruins game now? Take out a loan, man. It's $150 to get in the door to see the worst team in the Eastern Conference. And they have the balls to tell you, well, we got to pay our concession workers, and I can't take money out of my pocket. We're going to raise ticket prices for this team. It's beyond a joke. Beyond a joke. And it makes me think of, I had this teacher in high school, one of my favorite teachers ever. Big time hockey fan. I'm talking like hockey coach, state champion hockey coach, like really knows his stuff. Grew up in the area, grew up a Bruins fan. And at one point he turned. He actually became a Canadiens fan, which Casa, I don't like that. And I don't endorse the decision to change your team. I'll never change my team. But whenever asked, he would always say the same thing. He would say, because at some point we realized that Bruins ownership didn't give a shit. Didn't care. They weren't going to make the right moves to make this team a real Stanley Cup contender, and they were always going to feed you a line. They were going to continue to hire their guys, their cronies. Matt Barry, our Thursday guest from Bruins Benders, always calls them incestual. It's a family thing. And they're always going to feed you lines like this. They're going to raise ticket prices. They're going to change the uniforms so that you'll buy new jerseys. And they'll say, no, these are our guys. Look at the point percentage. Because we know in Boston, that's what we care about. We really care about point percentage in the regular season. Stanley Cup banners, Eastern Conference Finals appearances, who cares about those? Look at the point percentage. Can we hang a banner for 2023? Most regular season points, most regular season wins? They would if they could. They would if they could get away with it in this town. But they're just going to continue to feed you this crap. It was such an embarrassing press conference. The fact that they're getting combative with us, the Bruins fans, and shout out to the media for asking the questions that the Bruins fans actually want asked. Usually the media is too full of themselves. This day they got it right. They were representing the fans today. And they get shit on. Again, every Don Sweeney press conference is the same. It's everyone else's fault, and how dare you ask him a question? How dare you? He's getting away with murder in this front office, and it's only going to get worse, Bruins fans. It's only going to get worse. This is not spoiled fans who are just used to winning. These are fans who want something new. This is not fans who aren't willing to accept that eras end. They're not letting it end. They're not changing anything. The era is over. That core is done. Marchand isn't even here anymore. And instead of building this team around McAvoy and Pasternak in their prime, we're just going to keep running it back. It's embarrassing, man. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. How embarrassing was this as a Bruins fan? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Only about 10% of you watching are actually subscribed to the channel. We're bringing you nothing but Boston sports news every weekday, live on YouTube, high noon Eastern time, and then wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air every day. We're going to hear from Zach in the next segment, whether he knows it or not, because we're going to talk about why the NHL's not, and the NBA is once again hot, unfortunately. That's next on The Cam Show.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com. Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Combine that with OrganicHemp.com's top quality CBD for ultimate balance. Start your healing journey today at GlobalHealing.com and OrganicHemp.com. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. Each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. At Tusane's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Tusanes.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.
And now, back to our show.
Dog, I'm still not over that press conference. What a fucking joke that was. Like, this used to be a city full of just model franchises, and I understand that we were spoiled there. But the Bruins fit right in to those model franchises, and now they're just running it into the ground like they know how to do. And, you know, some point in the next 10 years, they'll turn it around again and you'll get a whole nother generation hooked on this bullshit. And I'll be watching the whole way. I can't afford to go to the games because they're raising ticket prices again, but I will be watching the whole way. Anyway, this is the Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm Cam Stewart. Zach Burke is also here, as he is 5 days a week behind the scenes, keeping us on the air. Now we bring him into the scenes. How you doing, Zach?
I'm here.
Hell yeah.
Sports wise, it's not going too well for my teams here lately.
Yeah.
We got another shot basketball wise. Thought we might have a chance to play spoiler last night in hockey. Took him to OT, didn't work out.
Yeah, man, that was a tough one. And as much as I hate to say it, the only thing worse in this Bruins press conference is the fucking Leafs, man. They could really do this.
Yeah, they could.
And I kind of realized my hatred last night. I kind of realized my hatred of the Leafs. And it's not like, it's mostly pity because they suck and it's funny. Like, it's more funny than like hate watch. Mm-hmm. But I realized last night looking at, that was a game they did not play very well at all. The Leafs didn't, and they still won. And I was like, shit, man, they never used to do this in the postseason. And I thought about, potentially them playing in the Stanley Cup final or something. And I was like, I really don't want that. I really don't want them to win anything.
Yeah.
So anyway, we won't harp on that.
Well, let me just ask you this real quick, just while we're on it, because I had a thought last night when I was looking through the rest of the scores, because that is a nightly thing for me before I go to bed is if I'm not I didn't see who won. And with both these, I love just playoff sports in general. So playoff hockey and playoff basketball going on at the same time is great. And so I'll still check to see who won the other series just to try to see. I did have a thought as a casual hockey fan and as somebody who's a little bit more in tune. I want to get your opinion on this real quick.
Okay.
Do you at least feel a little good in knowing that one of the Florida teams is going to knock the other Florida team out?
Yes. But here's where my conundrum is, Zach, is I would obviously want, I don't love the Lightning.
Yeah.
But I would much rather them win. I don't like the Panthers at all. But the flip side of it is, if the Panthers go to the conference finals and Marchand plays in 50% of their playoff games, which he will, then that second round pick the Bruins got becomes a first round pick. So I weirdly kind of have to root for them.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And I hate that.
Yeah. No,
because I don't really, I don't have any interest in any of the other teams on the other side of the bracket. I don't think Carolina has the firepower at all. If Washington, I could take or leave it. I don't respect Washington at all as a sports town, so I don't typically root for them. And Montreal, of course, I don't want them to win. So either way, I'll be rooting for the team.
I was just curious. I saw that and I was like, at least one of them is going to get knocked out, and that was just kind of the thought I had because I don't necessarily care for either of the Florida teams. But
speaking of the NHL,
yeah.
Zach Burke, you might remember on this show during the Four Nations, we talked about it. Pete talked about it with us. It was like that old SI cover, why the NHL's hot and the NBA's not. And there was this moment where people were just like, you know what? I'm sick of the NBA crap, sick of the All-Star game, sick of the regular season. This Four Nations was great.
Their own players, the league, NBA's own players were trashing the All-Star week. It was bad.
Yeah. And it was okay, this is the opportunity, right? The NBA ratings were already going down. NHL's now on 2 networks here with ESPN and TNT. It's this is the moment. And I said it at the time. I was like, what's going to be really indicative is the playoffs, because the NBA playoffs are obviously much better than the regular season, but the NHL playoffs are the best playoff of any sport, in my opinion. And I did have a word of warning. I think it was on Pete's show. I said I compared it to 2010. When USA Hockey went to the gold medal game against Canada, and they really got a lot of people tuning into hockey for the international stage, and they stuck around for the NHL. But that year in the Stanley Cup final, you had the Philadelphia Flyers and the Chicago Blackhawks, 2 of the biggest markets in America, competing in the actual Cup final. And I said, this year, Pete, I don't know. I don't think the Bruins are going to be there in the playoff. I don't think the Blackhawks are going to be there, obviously. The Flyers are not going to be there. The Rangers are probably not going to be there. The Red Wings at the time looked like they might. They're not there. All 4 of your original 6 franchises, plus the Flyers and Pittsburgh, which is not a huge market, but a great hockey market, and Sidney Crosby, None of them are there. And here we are. The NBA had their most watched opening playoff weekend, if I guess that's the term they're using. The most watched opening weekend in 25 years. 4.4 million viewers on average, up 17% from last year. The NHL through Monday, Stanley Cup playoffs, averaging 718,000 viewers across ESPN and TNT, down 27% from last year. All 9 windows are down year over year, with 7 of them posting double-digit declines. Not a single game through Monday had averaged over 1 million viewers. Cooked. 2 months ago, they had it. A short 2 months later, it's gone.
I would argue, and you kind of put it there a bit, is that for the most part, all the familiar faces are there in the NBA. It's all the teams that you would want to watch there. It's all the teams that have the history. Even somebody like the Pistons, who, haven't been a big name for a while. Like, are they going to win their series against the Knicks? Probably not. But they came out and they punched them in the mouth and they made the series exciting now. Like, even the people or the teams that you're not used to being there are making the most of these opportunities, while you went through the laundry list of, if a casual fan, and I think of like, oh, yeah, no, the Red Wings are usually good. No, okay, they're not there. Oh, but the Rangers, oh, no, they're not there. Like, who do you root for if you're a casual? Like, this is a playoffs built of, like, for, I guess, hockey fans. But I think the playoffs, more than anything, is when you bring in casuals more than any other time, and that benefits your watch numbers. So,
and even more so than casuals, Americans.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like, that's what you need to bring in.
For sure.
And to your point,
don't have that
the
problem
NBA,
with basketball.
like the NBA, even the series that looked like mismatches on paper, like, or going to play out like it, like Indiana and Milwaukee, it could be a sweep. But Giannis is playing in that series. Damian Lillard's playing in that series now. Your Houston Rockets, right? 2 seed, but nobody knows about them.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not a bad thing, but nobody knows about them yet. They're a bunch of young players and they play not a sexy brand of basketball, but
no, they don't.
But they're playing Steph Curry. So people are watching. And as opposed
Especially
to the
after
NHL,
the night he had the other night too. Yeah.
The NHL, best team in this league, smallest market. Winnipeg, nobody can even tell you where that is. Americans can't tell you where that is. And they're playing St. Louis, which is not a great hockey market either. Or how about maybe the most entertaining and brutal series on paper, right? With the hatred there, is your Ottawa Senators versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. Last time I checked, neither of those teams are in America. So it's not going to do well with American audiences. And you know what's not going to make it better, Gary Bettman? The fact that, did you watch the Wild versus the Vegas Golden Knights last night?
I didn't get to see it, Evan.
Of course you didn't. Nobody did. You know why?
Was it not on TV?
The puck dropped at 11:20 Eastern time. I get the game is in Vegas, but who the fuck is going to watch that in your media markets?
That's still what, like 9, 8 Vegas time? That's still late for a Vegas.
Yeah, it's 9:20 in Minnesota, the other team. Like, that's brain dead. There's no reason for that. None at all. They've been alternating between networks, ESPN and ESPN2, and instead of that one, except for that one.
I always got a Rangers 9 o'clock first pitch because it's 6 o'clock out on the West Coast.
Which
but
sucks,
when it's like 8 o'clock, that's dumb.
But yet in the NBA, when you got to the finals, they didn't really care, or even the World Series, like they didn't care what time it was on the West Coast. It's just going to be late no matter what.
Yeah.
Right. 8 Eastern, 9 Eastern,
yeah,
across the board, whether they were playing in Dallas or Los Angeles. So there's no excuse for it. And again, some of that you can't control. You can't control that it's Ottawa versus Toronto in the first round because you don't do play-ins. You don't rig the play-ins. It happens. That's what happens. What you can control, the time the puck drops in the game. And it's incredible. We were sitting here on the show. We were gushing over how much momentum that hockey had in February. And 2 months later, it's totally down the drain. Now it's Does Curry get one last bite at the apple? Luka and LeBron, are they going to get to the finals? Jayson Tatum injury. Like that's the whole news cycle now.
Well, I even have another that I'm curious about that I didn't have before after this Pacers game. And not saying it does, but that Athletic article came out. If you're Tyrese Halliburton and you've been called the most overrated player now, how do you feel going into that series? Like there's intrigue on so many different levels.
Yep. And like, I'll admit this, like I'm not expecting hockey to be the number one sport. It's 4 out of the major 4. It's still niche. I love it. A lot of people do, but it's not going to be that. And I said at the time, it's tough to see them, kind of turn over the NBA in the long term, but it shouldn't be this bad. It shouldn't be down 27% because the product is still really good, but it's just best sport, worst league. It has a lot of trouble getting out of its own way. And part of that too is, again, all your Canadian teams except for two, Calgary and Vancouver did not make the playoffs. You've got 5 Canadian teams in there and they're each contenders outside of Ottawa. Sorry. And so like there is some of that where you're just not going to get the American audience attraction to that. Sure. I guess Montreal's not really a contender either, but they're a young, exciting team. And so there's part of that too. But last thing, does it kind of surprise you how much this has fallen, evaporated this quickly?
No, just based off of the people that aren't there. Like it makes total sense of why there's not as much intrigue because the teams that you would be used to being there aren't there at all. Your perennial playoff teams or the teams you think of like, oh yeah, no, I'm sure they're good. Oh, okay. Boston's not there. Detroit's not there. New York's
the Bruins
not there.
effect. Yeah. The Bruins effect, baby. And I don't think it's a coincidence because the NBA has been full of conspiracy theories for as long as the league has existed, more than any other league.
I have something to pitch for a Friday for us. It doesn't have to be this Friday, but how we've been talking. Yeah. What if we come up with our favorite sports conspiracy theories? Our theory, because you brought it up. And the only reason I say that is because the NBA does have a lot of them, but I feel like there hasn't been a good one since or a believable one since the envelope man.
Well, look. The NHL seizes a ton of momentum in the 4 Nations face-off. The next week, Luka gets traded to the Lakers.
Oh, okay.
In the most bizarre way, like not even shopped around anybody. Top 3 player in the league gets traded to the biggest market.
They asked Minnesota if they could have Anthony Edwards,
and they asked Danny Ainge for some help.
I will say though, in Nico's defense, even if they somehow beat the Grizzlies and are a playoff team, it's not turning out any better for the Mavericks than it is the Grizzlies right now. That playoff series.
Well, that's true. That's true. Anyway. I'm surprised by it too. If you're surprised, let us know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Only about 10% of you watching are actually subscribed. Hit that subscribe button and find us here on YouTube live every weekday, high noon Eastern time, and then wherever you get your podcasts. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke was with us, keeps us on the air every day. Check out the other videos on the channel, and we will see you tomorrow on a little ditty that we like to call The Cam Show.
Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internix. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit internxt.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Tusains, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Tusains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.